In just a few hours, we can know if a grand jury will officially indict a young woman in Albuquerque who accidentally left a toddler in a car, killing him. And surprisingly, the woman's lawyer does not want her out of jail. The grand jury has until today to officially charge Sandra Rodriguez Miramontes with child abuse resulting in death after she admits she accidentally left her nephew in a car at a daycare center where she worked. If Miramontes is not charged, she'd normally be able to walk out of jail, but she's in the U.S. illegally, so immigration would most likely take her to a holding cell in El Paso, but her attorney does not want that to happen.
I'm not afraid for her safety. I'm afraid that she will be rendered pretty much incommunicado. You can't talk really to your clients when they're stuck down there.
Usually after people are arrested, a grand jury has 10 days to indict them. In this case, Miramontes' attorney wants that time to be longer. We'll find out if that'll happen with this case later today, and we'll let you know. Well, this morning it is official. The Department of Justice is asking the Albuquerque Police Department about certain cases. This, a year after the DOJ said it might investigate the city's police department after all of the police shootings here. The city's chief administrative officer confirmed all of this last night at the city council meeting. So exactly what cases is the federal government asking about? Well, we asked the police department's leaders that exact question, and they said they could not recall. But we do know a lot of people have been complaining about what happened back in May. So officers barged into an apartment without a warrant and tased a man 4 times. They say he was a drug dealer. This is video of that. Plus, there are more controversial cases caught on tape. The police department's leaders say they did not know about some of these videos until we started asking questions about them. But the protesters say, no, it's really all just a cover-up.
Are we going to allow that in our city? We're better than that. We have to stand together.
The mayor's office and police chief Ray Schultz do not think it's necessary for the Department of Justice to do any kind of investigation, but they say they'll cooperate if it happens.
The City Council in a couple of weeks will also look at a measure that could send the I-25 Paseo overhaul to the voters. Councilor Debbie O'Malley has introduced a bill to keep election costs down. It involves doing away with the city's voter ID requirement for the November election. She says that's the snag that keeping the city from piggybacking on the state and federal election because there's no voter ID requirement for them. If she's right, that would mean Albuquerque would not have to print a separate ballot for the Paseo question or provide poll workers.
It's just a potential solution to this issue because I and other councilors are committed to letting the voters have a say on this bond question.
O'Malley is one of 3 councilors who blocked the mayor's request that the council directly approve the $50 million Paseo bond without voter approval. And city councilors stood by a neighborhood that was fighting the development of a dilapidated motel on the southeast side of the city. Councilors decided to squash the project. Neighbors were worried it would only bring more crime to the area. The motel is just north of University in Gibson. Right next to the property is where UNM is planning to develop that area into a shopping center. Well, the cleanup continues over a decade later. We're talking about a major fuel leak near Kirtland Air Force Base that was discovered back in the 1950s.
So exactly how is the cleanup going, and is the water there any closer to getting contaminated? Well, we're set to find out today with a community meeting from Kirtland's leaders. News 13's David Romero is live outside of Kirtland Air Force Base right now with the preview. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Matt. Well, Air Force Base officials tell us that the final solution in cleaning up the spill is still a ways off, but keeping residents in the loop as to the progress of that cleanup is key. Now, the jet fuel is believed to have started leaking back in the 1950s from the bulk fuels facility on base property. Some estimates have the spill at 8 million gallons of fuel over that time spilled. Now, we caught up with Air Force officials yesterday who told us that the plume has reached the water table, but there have been no traces of the fuel chemicals in the production wells that provide drinking water to residents. More wells are being drilled at this time to test for contaminants, and they also tell us that they pay the Water Utility Authority for monthly tests on production wells.
What we want to do is we want to get an understanding of the fuel plume and its where it is not, and then we need to consult with the state of New Mexico, and I let them know what we've found, where things are, and we will propose a remedy. It's called a final remedy in place.
And that final remedy plan should be in place by 2014 or as late as 2015. Now, from there, it'll be up to the state to determine how well the cleanup efforts have worked and, of course, how much further they'll need to go to get it all complete. Matt, back to you.
All right, thank you for the update, David. If you're interested, the meeting is about tonight. It's at 6 o'clock at the Cesar Chavez Community Center. It's on Catherine Southeast. Well, Carlos Fierro is set to walk out of prison tomorrow. Remember, he is the attorney from Santa Fe who was driving drunk back in 2008 and hit and killed William Tenorio, who was crossing the street. Fierro was sentenced to serve 7 years in prison, but he's actually served less than 4. And you may remember last week he made news for saving a man's life. Fierro was on a prison work crew and saw that a driver had a medical issue and did CPR to keep that man alive until paramedics got there.